Hi, you're watching Current Issues. My name is Vineet Malhotra. At a time when there are concerns that the global economy may once again be headed for a slowdown, and there are also concerns over whether Achhe Din are still elusive for the Indian economy, the question that continues to haunt the Indian economy and taxpayer is, where is the black money? On the program today, we look at the concept of giving back that black money. Why aren't the elite ready to contribute their share to the growth of the Indian economy? Why has the income disclosure scheme simply flopped and failed? Black money is one thing, but what about the people flaunting their wealth who owe money to the banks in return? Is India much better cushioned than most countries of the world, which we did see at the time of a global recession in the last decade? And there are, of course, other questions: whether inequality is rising, whether wealth creation is necessarily good for growth or not, should India need to move to a lower rate of taxation, and much more. We'll delve into all these questions with our elite panel of guests, but before that, let's have a look at this.
आप मानते हैं कि हमारे देश में काला धन है? ऐसे नहीं, जोर से बोलो। आप मानते हैं कि विदेशी बैंकों में हिंदुस्तान का काला धन है? आप मानते हैं कि देश के कुछ चोर लुटेरों ने विदेशी बैंकों में हमारा पैसा जमा किया है? आप मानते हैं कि वो रुपये वापस आने चाहिए? दुनिया के किसी भी देश में हिंदुस्तान का पैसा रखा गया है, पाई वापस लानी चाहिए कि नहीं लानी चाहिए? काला धन वापस लाना चाहिए कि नहीं लाना चाहिए? आप तो हाँ ही कहोगे ना। आपका क्या जाता है? आप न क्यों करोगे मुझे बताओ? आप मना क्यों करोगे? आप हाँ कह रहे हैं क्योंकि आपका एक भी पैसा वहां नहीं है। ना कौन कह रहे हैं? ना कौन कह रहे हैं? क्यों कह रहे हैं? क्यों कह रहे हैं? उन्हीं के पैसे हैं और उन्हीं से मिली भगत करने वालों के पैसे हैं। भाइयों बहनों, मैंने ठान के रखी है, अगर आप मुझे आशीर्वाद देंगे, मौका देंगे, मैं पाई वापस लाऊंगा।
Okay, so a lot of questions to be talked about, a lot of questions to be asked, and a lot of points to be analyzed. And on this note, let's welcome our guest. With me in the studio is business analyst Sharad Kohli. Sharad, thank you for joining us. Gopal Krishna Agrawal of the BJP is also with us, and Ashish Dua, spokesperson for the Congress, is also with us. Sharad, let's start with you. The income disclosure scheme, which was launched somewhere in June, according to you, if we speak from a ground level report, has this scheme flopped or has it succeeded? Let's hear some numbers from you, and also your analysis on what this so-called amnesty has done for the common taxpayer.
From the informal sources beneath, the information that we're getting is that not more than about 1,000 crores plus or minus 100-200 crores has so far been declared. And we're about a fortnight away before the scheme closes down. So if we keep away the typical mentality of taxpayers to rush at the last moment, we've seen queues, we've seen blocked servers at the time of filing of the return, which is usual to have the 11th hour mentality. If we leave that apart, I think the government had set up a target of about 100,000 crores. So 1,000 crores versus 100,000 crores. I think the scheme is yet far away from being a success from the intended objective that it was supposed to be. And as far as the amnesty, if we look at the amnesty scheme of 1997, which was VDIS.
During Chidambaram's reign.
Well, yes. And at that time, a total amount of about 30,000 crores plus was disclosed, and the total tax collection was about 10,000 crores. So are we looking at, after almost 20 years?
It should have been 10 times more.
Yeah,
today.
After 20 years, how come that the numbers have diminished so much as far as the scheme is concerned? Are we looking at a flawed scheme? We need to talk about what are the flaws in the scheme. Is there something which is keeping the people who want to disclose?
Okay,
what is it keeping them away from disclosure?
Right.
That's the big question.
Okay, Sharad, I'll come back to you. Ashish Dua, spokesperson for the Congress Party. Sir, the amnesty scheme, which was launched last year, turned out to be a failure. This year too, your party feels that the BJP has unleashed some sort of a tax terrorism on the common man, the small trader, the common citizen, the honest taxpayer is probably being targeted, but the big business houses, the oligarchs, they are getting away scot-free. Mr. Dua.
Vineet, I'm glad Sharad has brought out some very relevant points, and he's given the figures which speak for themselves. The fears that were expressed earlier regarding the practicality or impracticality of such a scheme are actually coming true, and chickens are coming home to roost. With such fanfare, when you announce your pre-poll promises that nothing was going right in the country, we'll come back, we'll come to power, we'll do everything right. Those promises, and in the process of such lofty promises, there was this 2011 February report of the task force of BJP led by Mr. L.K. Advani, which said that 25 lakh crores is the black money lying abroad in foreign banks, which then in his usual style, Mr. Narendra Modi announced that everybody will get 15 lakhs. And the countrymen know what happened to that their own president, present party president, termed it as Jumla. So the very beginning of this government, on the false note that they acknowledge that all the promises that they made to India are Jumlas, and now that has been reinforced by one of the former presidents and the current transport minister, Mr. Nitin Gadkari, who said this is like a millstone around our neck, that achhe din is like a gale ki haddi. That's what the nation wants to hear from the government, which came with a majority with 282 seats in parliament the first time, after a long time, after 30 years, and that's what you are delivering in terms of your promises.
Okay.
And
Let's
second,
okay,
I
Mr.
would
Dua,
just,
Mr.
like
Dua,
to
let's
add,
also get an opening
add
reaction
one
from
more
Mr. Gopal Krishnan Agrawal of the BJP. Mr. Agrawal, thank you so much for joining us. We are talking about the amnesty, the income tax disclosure scheme. Sir, a lot of people feel that the common man should have been given incentives instead of intimidation, and it's because of this intimidation that the scheme has not yielded the kind of fruit, the kind of results that you were expecting, your government or Prime Minister Narendra Modi was expecting. Mr. Agrawal.
No, actually what happens is, when in last scheme, that voluntary disclosure scheme we had in 1997, that time the government had given a clear-cut undertaking in the Supreme Court that this will be the last VDIS, voluntary disclosure scheme, and there will be no amnesty scheme from declaration of black money. So this is not an amnesty scheme. Actually, this is a scheme where you get a chance to disclose your black money or undisclosed income with taxation and a penalty of 15%. Earlier, in any amnesty scheme, there was no penalty and nothing. So you should not compare them with earlier voluntary disclosure.
Okay, sir, let's not compare it with the earlier target, sir. But tell me, why has this scheme underachieved so much? The target probably was a lakh crore, and according to sources, it's not able even crossed 1,000 crores, or probably it has crossed 1,000 crores.
No, along with this scheme, you have to understand there was a 2-3 days back a report where the direct tax collection has increased 15%. Actually, Modi ji is saying this is the last chance for any black money holders or any people who are hiding their money in various places and not disclosing properly. By 30th September, this is the last chance for them. After that, the government will take strong measures to unhide the black money or the illegal stash money anywhere. So actually you have to see that there are, even if you see the collection of advance figures, that is it, because there is no amnesty in this scheme, there is no benefit in declaring only this scheme. So many people are declaring in their normal returns this year also.
Okay.
So ultimately,
All
you
right,
have
sir.
to
So
see
let me also
everything
get
in
a
that
reaction from Mr.
perspective.
Sharad
Here,
Kohli, who is a renowned
25%
business
tax.
analyst. Sharad, the honest taxpayer is probably being raided, and all the oligarchs and the crony capitalists are getting away, and the scheme has not been able to probably put both of them on an even keel.
Let me first take what Mr. Agarwal said, that this is not an amnesty scheme, it's just like any other scheme. See, we cannot, Mr. Agarwal, we cannot get away with the thing that saying that this is not, because the whole intent of the scheme was to create an environment, to create an atmosphere where people who have been hoarding black money for all these years, they come forward and they make a declaration where only 7.5%, I would like to correct you, 7.5% is the penalty, 7.5% is the Krishi cess, 30% is the tax. So the intention of launching the scheme was to give some kind of immunity to the taxpayer. In fact, in the basic edifice of the scheme, it is provided that the taxpayers will be provided full immunity, full confidentiality, their names will not be disclosed, their information will not be shared. The chapter, once they declare, will be considered as closed after the declaration. Therefore, Mr. Agarwal, we cannot say that the scheme was not an amnesty scheme. It is an amnesty scheme to a larger extent, maybe not to full extent, I agree. But then to a larger extent, it is an amnesty scheme.
Okay, let's get a caller in. Mr. Agarwal, we'll come back to you. Rohan from Shimla is giving us a call. Rohan, go ahead.
Do we need to pay taxes on the income disclosed under the scheme?
Rohan, can you please repeat your question?
I wanted to ask you, when do we need to pay the taxes on the income disclosed under the scheme?
Well,
okay, Sharad, just hold on to that thought. We have another caller with a similar query. We have Devendra who's giving us a call from Gurgaon. Devendra, go ahead.
Yeah, my dear, in fact, there is a well-known fact that 10% population of a nation keeps the 90% of the money, and 90% people fend for in 10%. So it's not easy, it's not difficult for any government to find out these 10% and crack on them. Frankly speaking, successive governments from since independence has allowed this kind of thing to happen. Modi ji, at least, he has stopped this transaction of black money. We must give credit to him for that. But this black money is all facade. I mean, nothing will come out of this. We know who have this black money with them.
Okay, who has the black money? Mr. Agarwal, a lot of people also want to know that there is probably about 25 lakh crore rupees stacked away in Swiss banks. Where is that money? That was supposed to come back, sir.
No, actually, what we have to say that there is lot of money stashed in foreign currency, foreign countries, tax havens. But you see, there was a round tripping long back. We had a treaty with Mauritius and Singapore where there was camouflage on the ownership, and a lot of money was coming through the innovative way of transactions through capital gains exemption, then coming through Mauritius route where participatory note. So already there was lot of discrepancy in those areas where the black money was being parked in international community. At present, there is a first time there is a concentrated effort by the Modi government. We have negotiated treaties, renegotiated the treaty with Mauritius and Singapore for tax information exchange. Even at G20, we are putting lot of efforts on tax information and
so let's take a caller. Let's take a caller. Akshay is giving us a call. Akshay, go ahead. Ask your question or state your point.
Hi. Actually, I wanted to know how much tax has to be paid under this scheme by a person.
I think I can answer that. Somebody else also asked this. See, the tax paid is 45%, and you're also given 3 dates to deposit. Up to November, end of November, you can pay 25% of that.
Right.
Up to March, you can pay 25% of that, and the remaining can be paid 30th September. So basically, there is a 1-year window, Vineet, under which a person can pay. So that way, government has eased the deposit. But the declaration, Akshay, has to be made before 30th of September under any case.
Okay, let's also rope in Mr. Dua once again. You know, the window of 4 months seems a little small to a lot of people, Mr. Dua. And you know, the property rationalization scheme was only initiated on August the 18th, which left the consumer, the taxpayer, with probably less than 2 months. What kind of a planning, what kind of, rationalizationing is probably BJP going to give because of this, this delay in, filing your taxes and, the rationalization of the property?
I think, Vineet, listening to our BJP spokespersons, the BJP has got exposed in the game of numbers, and they are moving from one smudging to another on their reputation by launching schemes like this. When they launched a scheme last year, which was called Undisclosed Foreign Income and Assets and Imposition of Tax Act 2015, which in one word was termed a flop. When only 2200 odd crores or 2400 odd crores of tax was collected, and only income of about 4100 crores was disclosed in that. So, not learning a lesson from that, this government in its hype to ward off that 15 lakh responsibility tries to launch another scheme which is ill thought of, ill planned, not based on past experience, not learning from past experience, and the result is in front of all of us. That instead of a target of 1 lakh crores and the tax collection of 45% at the rate of 45%, 40 to 50,000 odd crores as tax collection, what you are getting, not even 1,000 crores today. So, so is this how the government functions? Okay. Is it the same way as I can just list quickly? I can just quickly list about 10 odd points, that this government has been trying to fudge numbers or trying to live on inflated numbers of GDP, of give it up. They said 22,000 crores has been saved for the country, whereas as per the CAG report, there were only 2,000 crores. Make in India numbers are in front of you. IIP has been down the lowest in the past 24 months. Zero balance accounts, what is the situation of that. They are putting 1 rupee there in the accounts to show that they are not zero balance accounts. The fake ration card numbers are in front of the country. MSP, what they're giving to the farmers, that is in front of the country. Pulses prices, that is in front of the country. Jobs, most important of all, 2 crores every year, 10 crores in 5 years. So by that account, you should have 4 crore jobs by now. Right. And as per the government reports, it is only about 1.5 lakh jobs till now. And mind you, this doesn't account the jobs lost. So actually, if you see in past 24 or 26 months of this government, country has actually lost jobs. They become negative. Not even one job plus. Rural electrification numbers. Where they are saying we've electrified so many villages, and the stories come out in media every day.
Okay, let's talk about the ideas. Let's talk about the ideas, Mr. Agarwal. Mr. Agarwal, Sharad has a question for you, sir. Ashish will come back to you. Ashish, we will come back to you. Sharad, I'll let you ask your question. Let me ask Mr. Agarwal a question myself. Mr. Agarwal, now that the ideas. Ashish, just hold on to that thought. I'll come back to you. I promise you, I'll give you an opportunity to speak. Ashish, let me put my question into Mr. Agarwal. Mr. Agarwal, now the IDS has grossly underachieved its target. Do you think searches and raids, it's the last fortnight of the scheme, searches and raids are going to jump up?
No, actually, they are already taking place. Wherever there are people finding anything to hide their searches, and that is already taking place. And we will see a spurt in the collection in the last half, this 15 days of the month. What I want to tell you is, if you talk on economics and statistics, all these problems are not about only BJP government or NDA government. They are in our economy for since long. And 65 years Congress has ruled. So you cannot say कि if there are problems in the economy, only the BJP is important. We are answerable to many of the issues which we have done a lot. If you talk on subsidy, we have definitely improved the subsidy and direct benefit transfers. We have done a lot with regard to, you cannot give government employment to all and everybody. We are putting up so many schemes with regard to startup, stand up, Mudra Bank. We have to develop self-employment. We have to develop entrepreneurship. That is the only way by which we can create employment in the economy. With regard to MSP,
so I guess you are also digressing from the topic. We are discussing the ideas, and Sharad, coming back to you. 45%
now
is the
I'll come
tax.
to- I would-
45% is the
no, no,
tax
I
rate,
will-
sir. I'll come back to you. 45%
Yeah,
is the tax
I'll
rate, and
answer
that is
you.
the reason why the scheme
Yes.
has flopped. And 1997, 33,000 crore rupees came in, 10,000 by way of tax, and that time 30% was for individuals and 35%, Sharad, was for the companies. Is that the basic difference between these two schemes and their success story?
See, I do not have, Mr. Agarwal and Mr. Dua, I do not have any political allegiance to any party. I had a tax advisory division also as part of my business group. We did a research on the whole scheme. Now these, Mr. Agarwal, I would like to ask you, I guess you are also a professional. I came to know you are a chartered accountant as well. So
Yeah.
you will be able to understand what I'm
Yes.
trying to say. You know, we did a research. We found that there are 3-4 drawbacks in the scheme. Let's look at the scheme specifically. What were the deterrents for the scheme? 45% rate of tax, Mr. Agarwal, is, you know, when somebody who has not paid 10, 20, 30, there are 3 slabs, 10%, 20%, 30%. Let's take 30% of the, someone who did not pay 30% all his life or on the hidden assets, how will such a person make up the mind to pay 45% first of all? That was the first deterrent that we found. Second deterrent that we found was that there were so many conditions attached to the scheme. You should not have got, you would understand, you should not have got a notice under section 148. You should not have got a notice under section 142(1). You should not have got a notice under section 143(2). There should be no search survey proceedings already going on such a person. Number 2. Number 3, Prime Minister Modi in one of his speeches categorically said that हमारा काला धन ज़्यादातर property, jewelry, cash इनमें रखा हुआ है. Now when somebody wants to disclose a property which is today worth 10 crores, even if we take the cost inflated index, the IDS tax comes onto that is 4.5 crores. Now how will such a person arrange for 4.5 crores worth of cash to deposit up to 30th September 2017 unless he liquidates the property? Now that 4.5 crores should also be white money as per the scheme. This was the third deterrent. Fourth and the last deterrent which we found was the intimidation which Vineet referred to in the beginning. You know, the scheme should have been left out.
The arm twisting tactics.
In Hindi we call it in a sahaj manner. It should have been given an easy atmosphere to the taxpayer. When you constantly intimidate the taxpayer कि अगर 30 सितंबर तक के बाद आप चैन की नींद सोना चाहते हैं तो आप 30 सितंबर से पहले अपना काला धन डिस्क्लोज कर दें. Psychologically speaking, Mr. Agarwal, I would again like to clarify, I am not against the scheme. I do not have any allegiance to any political party. But when you intimidate somebody too much, psychologically speaking, the person thinks कि ठीक है देखी जाएगी जो होगा, इतनी धमकी मिल रही है बार-बार, देखी जाएगी जो होगा. You know, that was the fourth deterrent that we found for the scheme not being successful until
let's
now.
Listen to Mr. Agarwal's response.
I would like to have your response, Mr. Agarwal.
Yeah.
Sir, go ahead.
Yeah. I agree. What Sharad ji has said, I agree to some of the issues that there are the lacuna or that because of those things, many of the some issues, the people are not coming to declare in this. But what I want to tell you is that the government is under some compulsions on governance and their promises earlier. As I said that we had earlier, the government had said to the Supreme Court there will be no voluntary disclosure scheme which will remove the give a benefit to those people who are holding black money. One issue is this. Second was important is that ultimately this is not a scheme where you give immunity to people who have already hoarded the black money. That was just a chance to declare. This is a future oriented scheme that if you do not comply to this scheme ideas, your positions will be worse than what you are at present. That was the message which PM Modi wanted to give, that we after 30th September, there will be further deterioration in if it is found that you are holding any black money. This is the last chance that you can declare, and there is no amnesty. You at present, if you are currently declaring an income at a 30% tax rate, if you are voting for 10 years or 15 years, you are paying only 45. You have already held that asset for such a long period without declaration. That in itself gives you a lot of leverage. These
okay,
are also
okay,
the
let's
issues
also
to
get
be
a reaction in from
considered
Mr.
by
Dua.
the
Mr. Dua.
And you have to have a uniform
Okay, well, this income scheme has failed
level playing field
dramatically.
to those
Mr.
people
Dua,
who are tax compliant.
If Congress was to analyze and assess this particular scheme, how would you do things differently, sir?
Good question.
See, I think Mr. Agarwal has got a tough job to insulate the architects of such a super flop planning, where he would be short of words. But the one thing is clear, that in its hurry and worry to come up with some numbers of the pre-promise, what they made is the curry of the entire scheme. What they have let loose a reign of terror, of tax terrorism on the small businessmen. There are about 10 lakh notices.
Sir, how would you do things differently, sir? Sir, you're not answering my question, sir. Mr. Dua, you're not answering my question, sir. We are low. Sir, how would you do things differently, sir? We don't have.
Let me complete. Just give me 1 minute.
Too much time, sir.
I'll come up. I'll come up with the. Yeah, the experts have already listed out what are the flaws in such schemes, and I think the government should have learned from last year's example. The idea is to that disclosures work on incentives, not on intimidation. That has become clear. That is what Mr. Agarwal has also accepted. The intimidation doesn't work and incentives will work. There have been earlier schemes or incentives to get the black money, which is a parallel economy in our country, to work as part of the main economy. So there have been Kisan Vikas Patras, there have been other bond schemes which need to be put so that people are incentivized to come up and get the money in the system. So I think that is what the incentives have to work. That is what the intimidation that has become clear, that will not work. Lofty promises for next time onwards, for God's sake. The country says with folded hands to you, please don't misguide the country on numbers.
Okay,
please don't misguide the country.
On that patriotic
on what you think will just get you votes.
I will have
and will
call it a day on our show.
We have run out of time, economy in shambles.
Mr. Dua, on that patriotic and prudent note, we'll have to call it a day, and I would like to thank you for joining us, Mr. Dua, Mr. Agarwal and Sharad Kohli. Thank you so much for being in the studios. That is all we have on current issues. We'll see you tomorrow. Keep watching News World India. Thank you.